The disappearance and tragic fate of Sarah Grace Patrick, a vanished smile. March 12, 2024. A cold morning in the quiet town of Winston, Virginia. The frost clung to the edges of window panes and sleepy roads whispered with early traffic. But one girl never made it to her destination. Sarah Grace Patrick, 17 years old, a high school senior, a violinist, a dreamer. A girl with hopes bigger than her small town could contain. She was last seen walking toward the bus stop just 3 blocks from her family's home. But Sarah never got on that bus. She never made it to school. And by noon, her parents' calls went unanswered. By evening, her bedroom was untouched, her phone silent, her location unknown. And so began the most haunting case this town had ever seen. Sarah wasn't the type to run away. She had friends, a scholarship interview next week, a bright future. When she didn't come home that afternoon, her mother, Elizabeth Patrick, called the school. The principal said Sarah had never shown up. Panic took over. By 5:30 p.m., she filed a missing persons report. Flyers were printed, the woods behind the neighborhood were searched, students, neighbors, and even strangers combed through back roads and trails. Police reviewed CCTV footage from nearby homes. One blurry clip showed Sarah walking briskly, clutching her backpack. A silver sedan pulled over 2 houses down. The car was never seen again on any camera. As investigators interviewed classmates and friends, a darker picture began to emerge. Sarah had been receiving anonymous texts in the weeks before her disappearance. Threats, some said. Messages telling her to stay quiet or else. But stay quiet about what? Sarah's best friend, Lila Monroe, told police that Sarah was planning to tell her guidance counselor something the day she vanished, something that could ruin a teacher's life. Rumors swirled. Names floated, but nothing concrete. 10 days after Sarah vanished, an anonymous envelope arrived at the police station. No return address. Inside, a printed photo. It showed Sarah, eyes wide, in a dim room. A timestamp in the corner, March 13th, one day after she disappeared. Behind her was a concrete wall, a faint window with bars. She was alive, but not for long. Along with the photo was a single line typed on an old typewriter. She knew too much. The town fell into fear. Parents kept kids home from school. Curfews returned. No one felt safe. A teacher under suspicion. Mr. Callahan, 45, history teacher, loved by students, admired by parents. Until now. He had taught Sarah since sophomore year. She once stayed late to work on a special project. Some said they were close. Too close. When police searched his classroom computer, they found deleted messages to an unknown number. When they tracked the phone, it was registered to a fake name, but the last ping was close, within 10 miles of Sarah's neighborhood. He was brought in for questioning. And then he disappeared. A private investigator hired by Sarah's parents found something chilling. An abandoned farmhouse, 40 minutes outside Winston, locked, hidden beneath vines. When police broke in, they found Sarah's backpack, torn and muddy, under the floorboards. They also found a basement. Bloodstains, hair, a violin string tied to a rusted pipe, and under a loose tile, a recording device. The last recording? Sarah's voice, crying, pleading, and a man's voice, cold and calm. You were supposed to keep quiet. The timeline became clearer. Sarah had discovered something, possibly an inappropriate relationship between a teacher and a student. She was preparing to speak up, and someone silenced her. Her body was found days later, in a shallow grave near the New River Gorge. She was identified by dental records. Cause of death? Blunt force trauma. She had fought. There were defensive wounds. But she didn't survive. Justice denied. Despite overwhelming circumstantial evidence, no arrests were made. Mr. Callahan was gone. The sedan was never traced. The farmhouse's ownership was a dead end, listed under a shell company. For Sarah's family, the nightmare never ended, but the community didn't forget. Her photo remains in the school hallway. Her violin, broken, rests in the case found near her body. Her voice lives on in that last tape, Online, #JusticeForSarah began trending. Her story reached national media. Celebrities posted tributes. Thousands signed petitions demanding a federal investigation. But most importantly, survivors of abuse began to speak up. Sarah had been brave, and even in death, she gave others courage. The Patrick family started a foundation in her name to help teens report abuse safely. Her mother speaks at schools, reminding students, if you see something wrong, speak up. Even if it's hard, even if it's dangerous. Sarah did. 2 years later, a new tip was sent, a voicemail distorted low. She wasn't the only one. The case was reopened. And though no convictions have come yet, the truth is creeping closer. Sarah Grace Patrick's story isn't just about loss. It's about bravery, about silence that should never have been forced. And it's about us, choosing to keep her voice alive.
If you know anything at all, speak up, share her story, help uncover the truth.
This was the story of Sarah Grace Patrick, a girl who dared to speak up and paid the price. Her case is a chilling reminder that darkness can hide in the most familiar places. We stand with her family, with the truth, and with the hope that one day justice will be served. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to uncover the truth for more stories that matter. Together, we can give voice to the silence.